We'd love to hear about your first day, and actually week, in the screenwriting program. What were things that were taught, or were they all introduction into what you'd be learning?
It was a little bit of both. We had the first semester, we had 3 classes. We had an introduction to screenplay analysis, and that was with Professor Edson. And that was the beginning of his sort of explanation of screenplay structure. We didn't actually write in that class, but that first class was sort of like a top level introduction to the terms that he would be using, kind of a general overview of what the structure paradigm is, and then sort of an assignment where we had to watch a film and then break down the first act of that film of what happens in every single scene. And so that sort of built onto more things that we would learn later, where we would do breakdowns of entire scripts, of entire films. But that first class was just sort of an introduction of terms and a basic overview of what the structure was. We had a class called the short screenplay, and that was a class where we needed to write a 30 to 45 page script that could be anything. It could be a TV pilot, it could be a beginning of a feature, it could be a web series, pretty much whatever we wanted. But that was taught by another professor, his name is Jared Rappaport, a much more freer sort of experience. I love him so much, he's such a great professor. He's definitely the opposite of Professor Edson in that he's very free-flowing. And he's very, follow your muse and follow your inspiration and stuff like that. And every bit the successful screenwriter that Professor Edson was. But we started that first class with some guided meditation.
Oh, cool.
If that's any guide to what that was.
Like that. Uh-huh.
And it was just sort of us talking about ideas and sort of tapping into the things that make us want to be writers and the stories that we want to tell. So it was much more sort of an individualistic class and figuring out what it is that you want to say. So that's what that was. It was a couple exercises and figuring out what are the conflicts that you're most interested in. What are the types of people that you're most interested in? And then based on that, you sort of figure out and you sort of back into a writing project that will help you explore that. So for some of us, like I ended up writing a spec script for an HBO show called Room 104 that dealt with a dysfunctional family, because that's kind of the thing that I'm really interested in. Other students wrote the beginnings of features, like the first acts of features, that sort of stuff. But there were all different types of projects there. And then the third class was the 1 hour drama class. And that was taught by a woman named Lawrence Walsh Hodson. She was a story editor on CSI Miami. And she worked on a number of other shows as a TV writer. And that was sort of us coming up with the show that we wanted to write a spec for. So any 1 hour show we could write for. And it was us just sort of talking about the different types of 1 hour shows, the different genres, serialized shows versus, kind of case of the week shows. And really just sort of that first class was sort of boiling down what we had wanted to tackle for the semester and just sort of talking about life in the writer's room and stuff like that. So that was fun. I ended up picking Black Mirror as a show that I wanted to write a spec for because there's a structure to it, but every episode is unique and not really connected to the others. So I was kind of cheating. I wanted to write a story as a feature, so I thought if I did it as a Black Mirror spec, that would work. Those were the first 3 classes that week. That first week wasn't that stressful because as all semesters, you have sort of a beginning and an intro before you really get into the work and the real meat of the semester. But it was a great sort of, first step into, what would be 2 years of studying writing.
And what was that first movie that you watched that you dissected? Do you remember?
The first one we watched, I believe, was Legally Blonde.
Oh, great.
I think was the first one that we did. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And what were some of the terms that you were introduced to? You said was it screenwriting terms? Yeah.
So for Professor Edson, there were a couple terms specific to his book and specific to his analysis. Anytime a hero has something that they're trying to do or that they're trying to learn about, He calls that a hero goal. So the main character in your story is trying to do something at the very beginning of the movie, right? So in the case of Legally Blonde, Reese Witherspoon's character is getting ready for that date that she's going to have with her boyfriend that she thinks he's going to propose to her at, right? So she's getting ready for it. And then when she actually gets to that dinner, the boyfriend breaks up with her. So that's what she learned, was that, okay, her goal is obviously not going to happen because she got news that completely changed it. That news he calls fresh news. So whenever you get fresh news, you now move on to a new goal as a result of what you've learned. So after the breakup, Reese Witherspoon's character decides, okay, I have to find out why he's breaking up with me. So the goal is then to learn why her boyfriend is breaking up with her. And then as they're driving home, she figures that out. And then she decides, okay, the reason she learns that he's going to law school and that she's not the right kind of girl for him. So once she learns that, her next goal is, okay, I'm going to get into law school so I can prove to him that I am the right kind of guy or right kind of girl for him. So based on the fresh news of, okay, and he's breaking up with me because I'm not in law school, her new goal, her third goal is, now I'm going to get into law school myself. And then that continues all the way through the film, and it evolves. She gets into school. She finds out he's already engaged to someone else. Then she ends up working, to prove to him that she's really the right kind of girl. She gets an internship at a law firm and then gets involved in a case. And, so all of that is to prove that she really has the wherewithal to be a strong person, to be, a smart, effective person and a good lawyer. So that's the journey she goes on as a result of all of these actions that she takes.